Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nach on Bucs. I am your host, Anthony Nachreiner, and we're breaking down the 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule. First reactions to the schedule, guys. I was shocked we had 4 primetime games. If you listened to me on Wednesday morning, I thought we'd get 2. I didn't think the NFL schedulers would actually give us that many primetime games again, or give us that many at all, but they gave us 4. So I'm pleasantly surprised. So thank you, NFL schedulers. Not surprised by the opponents. Again, I thought we'd get primetime games for Dallas. I thought maybe Fox would fight for it in the afternoon, but Sunday Night Football gets it. Monday Night Football gets Kansas City and Baltimore. They want those 2 teams. Obviously, they're really good, so it makes sense that those 2 teams are going to get us for Monday Night Football. The one that surprised me was the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday night. And the reason I say that is because the trend the last 2 years has been that Tampa plays Thursday Night Football against an AFC opponent. So I thought they might continue that because they also want to try and give Amazon Prime some good games as well. We've already seen the Ravens and the Bucs on Thursday Night Football. Thought they might go back that way. Or they might go Chiefs and Bucs as well. Thought they might go that way for Thursday Night Football. I didn't think we'd see the divisional matchup on Thursday night. I really thought, given the fact that Tampa and Atlanta are heavy favorites to win the division, I thought that somebody, I know we are getting the home game is going to be on Sunday at Fox, but I thought for sure Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football would want Tampa or Atlanta for that matchup. But hey, listen, great for Thursday Night Football. I don't like it coming off the Philly game. That's going to be tough. I'll get more to that stretch here in a second. But at the same time, like I said, it's another primetime game. Hopefully it goes a lot better than the last time we were on Thursday Night Football in Atlanta. That didn't go our way at all. I think Atlanta scored like 56 points against us. It was miserable that night as a Bucs fan. So hopefully it goes differently. So the fact that we got 4 primetime games I thought was a huge plus. I thought it was, all right, finally maybe we're getting a little bit of respect here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the fact that we open with Washington and we have Denver, we got 2 rookie quarterbacks within the first 3 games. I thought that was really interesting. Unfortunately, if you're a Bucs fan, you kind of know how that goes with rookie quarterbacks. It doesn't exactly make it feel all that confident, considering the fact we still have memories of what C.J. Stroud did to us last year. So here's to hoping that Todd Bowles and company can come up with something that's going to make those 2 rookie quarterbacks feel really, really uncomfortable. But looking at that first quarter schedule, home against Washington, at Detroit, home against Denver, and home against Philly, I think that's big. 3 out of the first 4 games, those teams are going to have to adjust to the heat. That's going to be big. And listen, Detroit, Washington, and Philly, those are going to be important games. I know it's just early on in the season. You don't necessarily, you don't lose the playoffs, in the first 4 weeks. But again, tiebreakers matter. We're going to need those. We're going to need that to win against Washington. Going to need to try and get a win against Philadelphia. I'm not buying the Philly hype, but that's for another video. But I think that Tampa Bay can really compete with the Eagles. From here on out, and actually I should say from Philly, so week 4, essentially to week 10, that is probably the toughest stretch, the most brutal stretch for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, at home versus Philly, on the road against Atlanta, on the road against the Saints, then home against Baltimore, home against Atlanta, at Kansas City, and then home against San Francisco. The good thing is that we've got quite a few home games in there. 4 home games, only 3 road games. At Kansas City, at New Orleans, and at Atlanta. If I had to rank the most important games, it's those divisional games. Tampa's got to come away with wins against Atlanta and New Orleans. And especially, if nothing else, they have to split with Atlanta if they want to win this division. And it's going to be tough on Thursday Night Football in a short week to get ready for the Atlanta Falcons, but we don't know what the state of the Atlanta Falcons is going to be either. All right, will the chance for Penix get loud? Will they get off to a rough start? Will Kirk Cousins get off to a good start even after that Achilles injury? Like a lot of questions with Atlanta. So, again, we'll see what happens. But, again, those games have to be the ones that Tampa Bay wins. You look at the games against Baltimore as well as Kansas City. Those are games you'd like. Those are games you want. Those are games you want to get an upset for. Maybe you can try and go 4-2 in that stretch. See what happens in terms of how those games play out. Because if you can get a couple of upsets along with pairing some wins against Atlanta and New Orleans, that helps you pull away from the division. That's going to help you long term. Because like I said, the way the second half of the schedule shakes out, it wouldn't surprise me if Tampa went on a run like we saw last year where they won 5 out of the last 6 games. So this brutal stretch is going to be really key. Can Tampa Bay, if they can, create room to separate within the division, or are they going to have to just try and tread water? They got to go 3-3. They go 2-4. That means they almost have to go 4-0 within that first stretch. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, a tough stretch, but this is what you want. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are division winners, 3-time NFC South division winners. You don't shy away from this. If they want to get to where they want to get to, and we want to see where our team gets back to is Super Bowl contention, they got to win these games. They got to try and get a steal and win from Kansas City on the road. They got to get a win against Baltimore. And then obviously, if you want to contend to be the NFC representative, you got to take out the team that's been doing it the most, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they played them close last year. Obviously, we know what happened in 2022, but Tampa was a little bit closer to them last year, and I kind of want to see what happens this year against the San Francisco 49ers. We get the Week 11 bye week, which I thought was huge. I like the late season bye. I didn't like that we got an early season bye last year. Obviously, that didn't help us. It kind of took us out of rhythm. So hopefully this time around, the late season bye will actually help us and won't take us out of rhythm. We got the New York Giants on the road at Carolina, weeks 12 and weeks 13. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good this year. I think that's going to be a place for us to really catch some steam. I think we can get wins there. You're at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. Then you're on the road against Los Angeles and Dallas. The Chargers are going to be tough. If I had to look at the toughest two games out of the final six, I'd say that's Los Angeles and Dallas in back-to-back weeks on the road. Traveling to L.A. and then going to Dallas on Sunday Night Football. Dallas is, listen, I know everybody's dunking on Dallas right now, but they're still a very, very tough team. And then you finish with Carolina and New Orleans. Obviously, we know how all Bucs fans feel about the New Orleans Saints. That's a game that's got to happen. That's a game they got to win. All right, they won in New Orleans last year, but lost in Tampa. We got to change that. I would love to see Tampa finish the season, and who knows where we're going to be at in terms of the NFC South, but just to finish the season and put away the Saints, that's going to be key as well. So that's a game I'm keeping an eye on, obviously. Games that I would try and go to this year, listen, I would love to go see Tampa and Philly. I just don't like Philly. I don't like Philly fans. I think they're jerks, most of them. Well, not all of them. I shouldn't say all of them, but either way. I wasn't a big fan of what they did when it came to the Bucs flag last year on Monday Night Football. But either way, I'd go to that one. Obviously, Baltimore, you'd love to see great players. You want to see Lamar Jackson, obviously, and obviously that game against San Francisco. But the game that I'm looking forward to the most is obviously the games against the Atlanta Falcons. I think those are going to be huge. I think those are going to tilt how the NFC South goes and who gets it. So those would be my top games to go to this year, which would be the Atlanta Falcons games. So I'll have wins and loss predictions on another video, but just wanted to get this reaction to the whole schedule. Like I said, the middle part of the schedule is the most brutal for the Bucs, and I think that the first 3 games are going to be something to really help the Bucs warm up. Again, can't take them lightly. The Detroit Lions are a tough team. Love to try and get out of Detroit with a win, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to try and keep it at least at 500 or above, and then at the same time, they've got to take advantage of that second half of the schedule and really start to get on that run like they were last year in the second half of the season. They do that, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are definitely going to surprise some people in the playoffs, and I think we're going to be more of a contender than people give us credit for. I'm Anthony Nach. This has been Knock on Bucs. We'll see you next time for our next video. Go Bucs!